much. Senator Francis Heiliger, you're recognized for your 3 minutes.
Good morning to my colleagues. Good morning to the testifiers. Good morning to the people of the territory. First and foremost, I do not have a problem when errors are made and we do have additional funding to transfer funds if necessary. I do support the need for some of the things that have been shared, whether through fire, even through by TEMA for the sandbags, et cetera. I think my biggest concern is the method as to how this is being done. As a senator, I am very concerned as to appropriation transfers and the method it's being utilized to get it done. As a senator, we all pass a budget, and if errors were made, I would assume that as a body, another bill would be in front of us to potentially shift around funds. But unfortunately, from what I'm understanding, that 7 members of a committee can get together and potentially move around millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars of a budget that was already set in stone and voted upon by 15 people. So I'm a little bit concerned with the method, but I fully understand and support the need. But one of my major concerns has to do with how the revised Organic Act is written, that says that no monies can be paid out of the Treasury without an act of Congress or without a money bill. So I'm trying to understand, I know a law was put in, but we're checking with legal counsel. This appropriations format that we utilize is not consistent with the revised Organic Act. So that is my only concern in trying to get that part sorted out. But I do understand and I do support the transfer of the funds if necessary. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Francis Heiliger. Senator Francis Heiliger, you're recognized for your 5 minutes.
Hello. Good afternoon to my colleagues, to the testifiers, to the people of the territory. First of all, I did have to commend and I did appreciate the testimony that was given here, and the presentation today was very well done. My first set of questions I want to ask, one of my colleagues had asked a question in regards to the employees, and I just need a little bit more clarity before I dive into more of my questions. Director Dow, you spoke to, I think you said something about, as of right now, as we stand, we're not terminating anyone, everyone will be offered a job or something along those lines. The 2 things I want to find out first, when you say as of right now, is that a situation that it might change in the future? That's the first part. And the second part I want to understand is, when we came to those meetings, you spoke about individuals having to be retained for the day-to-day operations of the Port Authority, specifically the airport that's dealing with this P3 situation, investors. The question I want to know, if everyone is going to be offered a job, is that going to be a situation where we're potentially transitioning everyone over to the new investor? Or are we going to be retaining individuals that are needed for their regular day-to-day operations outside of the expansion and needing additional employees?
Okay, fine. Thanks, Senator. Let me try to make myself clear. One, what I said, okay, or what I said, is that the Port Authority have no intent. We're not laying off or terminating an employee. That's what I said. The other part of what I'm saying is that all the employees that work at the port will be, in fact, offered a job. We have not selected no one, so there is no discussion as to what that combination is going to look like. For example, who's going to stay, who's going to go. I can tell you from our experiences with P3, there are employees who opt to go with a new company, as well as there are employees who say, I like it here, I'm staying here. So what that is going to look like, okay, I can't tell you that today. But the thing that I can tell you, we're not terminating any employees.
Okay, excellent. The second set of questions I wanted to ask, I saw that you talked about a 3.9 decrease in comparison to 2023. Could you pinpoint some of the major efforts that were made that potentially brought that about?
In terms of the decrease, what in the budget you're talking about? The 3.9, what are you?
Yes.
I'm trying to.
A little bit more clear.
Yeah, could you just repeat your question again slowly? Because you have kind of a little static too. Please.
Oh, well, I apologize. I am still suffering from this knee fracture, so I kind of had to stay home today, work from home. One of the question I'm trying to ask, hopefully I'm coming out clearly. What are some of the things that contributed to the reduction in the budget for this fiscal year that's coming up?
Well, I could just tell you generally there are some capital projects that we're not going to do or we forego. Things like that would be the cause, as well as, for example, this body where we would have to pay, I don't know what a number is, but insurance proceeds for our policy, we are able to cut some of that cost out. But mainly would be some capital project that we say we're not going to do, or it's not necessary at this point, or it's not
1 minute.
a big priority item. That would be primarily where that would come from.
Okay. Earlier, we spoke a little bit about some vacancies that were available and also some individuals that are working temporarily. You said you often encourage people to apply for jobs, but depending on the job description, you need specific people doing those jobs. Are there any types of training available for existing employees that could
30
be trained in
seconds.
some of these job vacancies that could unilaterally transfer to a different area? Is that something that's available to the employees?
Well, sometimes employees have to take some initiatives too if they want to move. But at the same time, we do have some employees who have moved internally, promoted internally, prepare themselves for some other job in the institution. That happens all the time. But the bulk of where the vacancy would come, like I said, would be in those technical things. So I can't take somebody else, let's say, and I'm just drawing a reference, I can't take the shuttle driver now and put them in engineering. So while we have vacancies...
I don't expect you to do that.
Right, but I'm just saying it's a discipline. While we have certain vacancies, is whether or not even internally people would be able to do those jobs.
Okay. Madam Chair, may I ask one final question, please?
Sure, Senator.
Thank you. When one of the things that I was reading and getting some information on, I just wanted to ask a question in regards to the airlifts. I saw that, I think I read an article where they were talking about an additional fee to be added on to that. Is that a fee that is, where is that coming from, and what is the necessity, or is this a way to generate money, or is this just an additional cost that's expected?
Thanks for the question, Senator. So on any given day, somebody who have a disability or a challenge, regardless of what it is, to get up to the plane and they can't navigate the stairs. The Port Authority has invested territorial-wide in a couple brand new lifts. That's the mechanism that would lift that person up to get on the flight. That cost had been in effect for quite some time. While we have about 5 lifts ourselves, the private folks like, let's say CGC or Worldwide, the private people, they too have lifts. So they offer that as a service to the airlines. One airline purchases their own. So the Port Authority used to charge $100 for that lift. We're talking about a couple $100,000 for this equipment. So what we've done is increase the cost of moving the lift. That cost is borne on the airline. So a passenger don't pay the Port Authority for that. We go to the airline, and that's the agreement that we have. But more and more, we utilize these lifts because as people have a challenge navigating the stairs. And that's why I continue to come right back that we need to see the days when we have jet bridges that people don't have to go through that kind of stuff.
Definitely. I definitely am looking forward to those days as well. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the additional time for the additional question.
Thank you, Senator Francis Heiliger.